Committee of the ruling ZANU-PF party in Zimbabwe has sacked Robert Mugabe as party leader. After 37 years as leader of ZANU-PF, 37 years as president, he's been fired by his own party Central Committee as leader of that party. Now, there were jubilant scenes actually at the Central Committee meeting as that was announced. People were dancing. One member of the Central Committee said, "We want President Mugabe to go and up if he wants, but he's no longer leader of this party." It does not mean is that he is technically no longer president. He is still technically president. He's no longer party leader, but if they want to get rid of him as president of this country, either they have to persuade him to get out of his own free will, or perhaps they will begin impeachment proceedings in the parliament down there behind in Harare. There are talks underway at the moment with Mr. Mugabe and the military high command here, who are still trying to persuade him to resign.
And how is the linkage of Mnangagwa, the ousted vice president, if he's made leader of ZANU-PF, what does that mean for his position as potential president interim?
Yeah, he's been made party leader. He's the unanimous choice that the military wanted all along. After this military takeover, he was the man that they favoured. He had been ousted, don't forget, as vice president by Grace Mugabe, who's very, very unpopular here. President Mugabe, by 41 years, his junior. So he is now the favourite, if you like, to become the new president of this country. If that can be engineered, perhaps in some sort of transitional government, that's what some here are hoping for, with him at the head of that new transitional government, but perhaps members of the opposition, rather fractured opposition at the moment, perhaps some of those opposition leaders within the new government, well, people like Morgan, the leader of the MDC, but all of that is still to be decided. Although ZANU-PF have sacked him as their leader, as I say, he is still technically president of this country until he quits or he's removed, and the army have made it clear they don't want to remove him by force. Of course they could do that, but they want it to look like a constitutional procedure. They don't want this to look like an old-fashioned coup d'etat in Africa. So that means that they want, if they have to, Parliament to impeach him.
Ben, just to let you know, Reuters are reporting that party source has said that Grace Mugabe has been expelled from the ruling party. She has obviously been a very toxic force in recent days.
Yeah, she's a catalyst for this whole process, and it was fully expected that the ruling Central Committee of ZANU-PF would get her out of the party as well and strip of her as the head of the Women's League. The catalyst of this is because Robert Mugabe, it seemed, was trying to pass on power to her. She's, as I said, 41 years his junior, but she's been criticised hugely within this country and around the world for her lifestyle, very extravagant, known as Gucci Grace by some. And people in this country, the military, ZANU-PF, the people, just not prepared to select her as the new president of this country, thinking, you know, that she could just automatically take over from her husband. They weren't prepared to put up with that. She was manoeuvring for that to happen. She ousted her rival, Emerson Mnangagwa, as I was saying. So all of that has been reversed, and she, alongside her husband, both stripped of their ZANU-PF party title. Huge developments here after the show of people power that we saw on the streets here yesterday, when tens of thousands came out to call for Robert Mugabe's resignation. The day after that, we've had the ruling party kicking him out.
And Ben, can you just give me a favour? Is it quiet on the streets? I mean, it looks pretty calm behind you, but the Sunday afternoon, are people just really wanting to see what those in a position of power are doing?
Yeah, there is a sense of really, but also a sense of joy, you know, talking to the people who took part in the demonstrations yesterday, just full of hope and a real sense that this was not so much revolution, but a time of momentous change. They just want Zimbabwe to move on. They've had 37 years of this despotic rule, really, with political repression under Mugabe, economic mismanagement on a huge scale. You've had, you know, 90% unemployment, at the moment. You've had at one stage inflation hitting many billions of percent, hyperinflation. Lives of people here have been almost unbearable. They want to move on. They want new leadership. They want real change. They just don't want another strongman. Now, Emerson Mnangagwa was a strongman under the Mugabe regime. He was accused of human rights abuses. You know, he's not everybody's first choice as a great leader of human rights and democracy. But they are hoping that perhaps he could be part of a transitional that does start to change things and that really gets investment flowing into this country, becomes more acceptable to the rest of the world in terms of human rights, gets back into the Commonwealth, all those things that could bring about a new era for Zimbabwe.